Hi boys and girls, this is Miss Carol again, and I have a story to read for you while you're home, and maybe you don't have a book or you'd like to have a story read to you, and so Miss Carol's here to read a story for you. I have two stories actually. The first one is called Crazy Hair Day, and it's by Barney Saltzberg. So I look at the cover of every book before I read it, and I see he's got some pretty crazy spiky hair there. In the back it says this: Stanley's excited about Crazy Hair Day at his school until he discovers that he has gotten the day wrong. Uh-oh. Now we'll see what happens. Crazy Hair Day. You see his mother is looking at the calendar. And here he's waking up for the day. Crazy Hair Day. It says Stanley Birdbaum woke up early. Bald Eagle Elementary School was celebrating Crazy Hair Day, and Stanley couldn't wait. They had celebrated Pajama Day, Twin Day, and 60s Day. Stanley's favorite, though, was Twin Day, because he and his best friend, Larry Finchfeather, had worn exactly the same thing. Stanley was ready. He had rubber bands, he had styling gel, and to make his hair perfect, Stanley had 2 cans of Halloween hairspray. Stanley's mother knew just what to do. She wrapped, she dipped, and to make his hair perfect, she sprayed Stanley's hair bright orange and blue. Oh my goodness, look at him. Ta-da! Said Stanley, I am a work of art. You are going to be late if you don't hurry, said his mother. Here's the picture. So here he is going off to school. I'm going to read this side. Stanley rolled the rubber bands in his hair. He gently tapped the tops of his spikes. This, he said, is going to be a day I will never forget. But I bet Larry Finchfeather and I will have the craziest hair in the whole school, Stanley thought. As he walked toward the classroom, he heard his teacher talking. And remember, Mr. Wigner said, Crazy Hair Day is... Uh-oh. Not today. Oh no. Next Friday. Everybody stopped. Everybody stared. Stanley felt sick. Larry Finchfeather said, is that a hairdo or a hair don't? Everybody laughed. Stanley ran to the bathroom. Oh, there he is in the bathroom. It says, a few minutes later, Stanley heard someone come in. It's me, Larry Finchfeather. The Larry Finchfeather who just made fun of me in front of the whole class? Asked Stanley. I was only teasing, said Larry. Some days you tease too much, said Stanley. Mr. Wagner said he wants me to try to be a peacemaker instead of a troublemaker, said Larry. So I'm supposed to bring you back to class. Well, I'm not going, said Stanley. If you stay in here, you'll miss being in the class picture, said Larry. I thought that was next Friday, said Stanley. No, Crazy Hair Day is next Friday, Larry said. Today is school picture day. Stanley rolled the rubber bands in his hair. He gently tapped the tops of his spikes. This, he said, is going to be a day I will never forget. Yes, I've had those kind of days in school too. Larry Finchfeather suggested that Stanley try washing his hair in the sink. It won't help, said Stanley. Halloween hair color lasts for days. Well, it really doesn't matter. It's only your hair, Larry told him. If you don't come out of here, by the time math is over, I'm coming to get you. You can't stay here all day. There's Mr. Finchfeather. Or Larry Finchfeather. It was very quiet after Larry Finchfeather left, and Stanley wondered if maybe he could spend all day in the bathroom. He ate his lunch, he drew some pictures, he even timed himself to see how fast he could flush all the toilets. 32.5 seconds, he shouted. A new world record by me, Stanley Birdbaum. Stanley had counted up to 121, 122, 123 drops of water from a leaky faucet when Larry Finchfeather came back to the bathroom. Beep! Time's up. Let's go, Larry announced. Picture time! If I'm in it, I'll look like the class weirdo, said Stanley. Remember 60s Day when Mr. Wagner had the flu but came in anyway, said Larry. He said the day wouldn't be the same if we weren't all together. You have to come. I'll give you 5 minutes. I wonder if he's going to go. Let's see what happens. Larry Finchfeather left and Stanley Birdbaum thought about 60s Day, when Mr. Wagner had taught them all those great old songs. There he is. He remembered how on Pajama Day everyone in his class had worn PJs and slippers. And then Stanley imagined what his class picture would look like without him. He'd be missing. It's got to be in the class picture. It says, he decided to go back to class. To keep from being nervous, Stanley made up a song. Crazy hair, how I wish it wasn't there. Stanley felt someone touch his shoulder. I was just coming to get you, said Larry Finchfeather. What if they laugh at me again, said Stanley. Everything will be fine, Larry whispered. I promise. Come on. Stanley stood in front of the class. Everybody stopped. Everybody stared. Stanley rolled the rubber bands in his hair. He gently tapped the top of his spikes. Ta-da! This, he said, is going to be a day I will never forget. Oh, there's a picture for you. And there's a lovely class. They all decided to do something silly with their hair. So Larry wouldn't be the only one. So Stanley, wouldn't be the only one with crazy hair for class picture day. Wow. Even the teacher, look at the teacher, he's put the globe on his head. Funny. That's the best class picture I think I've ever seen. Everybody wearing books and newspapers and garbage cans and silly things. That is funny. What a lovely story. Reminds me about the time when I was in kindergarten and I tried to run away from school because I was scared. And I locked myself in the kindergarten bathroom. And the teacher couldn't get me to come out. In fact, I tried to go out the window, but because the window was open, and I tried to climb out the window, but when I looked down, it was way too far for me to fall. So I had to come out of the bathroom and join the class. And it's by Barney Saltzberg. So I look at the cover of every book before